In the Judeo-Christian creation myth, God warns Adam and Eve against eating from the tree of knowledge, planted at the centre of the Garden of Eden. The consequences? You will die, God says. Later, a talking serpent slithers up and assures Eve that no, she and Adam won't die if they eat from the tree, but they will discover the difference between good and evil, and in that way become just like God. Eve is attracted by the idea that the fruit will make her wise, the classic error of assuming that knowledge equals wisdom, so she goes ahead and eats it, then offers some to Adam. After eating the fruit, their first blinding insight is to realize that they are stark naked. Second insight, that's a shameful state to be in. The originators of that myth couldn't have foreseen that another tree of knowledge, the internet, would spring up a few thousand years later, planted in a new Eden called cyberspace, and that it would pose a different challenge. Not, if you eat of the tree of knowledge you will die, but if you overindulge, there might be dire consequences for your social, emotional, and moral health. Take a bite. As a result of Allied bombing raids during World War II, 80% of all buildings in Hamburg were destroyed, generating 40 million tons of rubble. That's a lot of rubble, and that's also a piece of information, which has become for you a piece of knowledge. Now you have it, what are you going to do with it? Will you recycle it over morning tea tomorrow, or save it up in case an opportunity arises to demonstrate your grasp of information about the impact of those bombing raids, perhaps when we mark the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II in 2025? After all, it seems such a graphic piece of information. 80% of buildings destroyed, 40 million tons of rubble. It would be a pity to waste it. And the figures are so staggering, you might imagine it would be impossible to get them out of your head. It's possible you will remember that information, and you might even find a way to make use of it, but I doubt it. After all, many TV viewers can't recall a single item they saw on the evening news just an hour or two after they saw it. And that information, unlike my raw little sentence about the rubble, is beautifully packaged and professionally presented. The harsh reality is that most of the information that reaches us each day is neither recalled nor reused. Some bits of it may momentarily distract us because they are quirky or arresting in some way, or because they have a particular relevance to our own situation, but most of it is discarded. And discarded isn't really the right word either. That sounds like a deliberate, conscious decision. It's probably closer to the mark to say that most of the information we're exposed to in a day is simply sucked into the black hole of cognitive oblivion, and so it should be. Yet, this being the information age, we struggle gamely to try to get our heads around as much information as possible.